Do you remember when I made a video about Animat not understanding horror and saying that horror shouldn't be sanitized to fit a spastic's viewpoint?
Very uncomfortable amount of child pornography!
Do you remember the time when I made a review on Evil Dead Rise? Yeah, the movie that missed the entire point of what the Evil Dead franchise was. Having fucking annoying female protagonists, a trans boy, the single mother who eyed a bit is hot, I guess. And there's the other girl who's like my age, who is also hot. But that doesn't change the fact that the movie itself is a steaming big pile is diarrhea shit. Why am I bringing that up? Well, recently, a new Evil Dead trailer came out recently, and it's called Evil Dead Burn. Yes, Evil Dead Burn out of all the titles. They're getting really uncreative with the titles as they go along. They're running out of ideas on how to name their fucking movies. It's almost like a kid was asked to come up with a title for the film, and he just said, Evil Dead Rise, Evil Dead Burn. What happened to good badass titles like Dead by Dawn and Army of Darkness? The trilogy of films that actually fucking meant something, eh? Although we did have the Evil Dead 2013 remake, which was mixed upon fans. Some praised it for sticking to its guns with the practical effects, rather than migrating to CGI. Others said that part of it missed the point, and the tone of the film did not replicate the original Evil Dead, which was a low-budget parody of string-budget horror films in a way. Although later, during the trilogy, they just became horror comedies. I still need to read the books, or the Army of Darkness comics, which I think have expanded universes, or continue the original ending where, spoilers, Ash is stuck in the future.
Oh God! No! I slept too long!
That's how I feel when I'm spending my time being busy with work and projects in the 2010s, and then coming back to work on that said project, and find out that there's tons of infighting regarding censorship and political shit, and also new authoritarian laws coming in, like the Online Safety Act and Digital ID, to make sure that I am either blacklisted or arrested for making such transgressive, sleazy, offensive content on the internet in this modern day. Then we had Ash vs. Evil Dead, which was cool, but a bit goofy in some areas compared to the original, but still consistent with Ash Williams no matter what. And then we have the franchise going through a humiliation ritual with shit like Evil Dead Rise and the upcoming Evil Dead Burn. Now we're going to analyze the trailer and talk about why it's a fucking mess. Well, for one, all I can say is that it's not woke, or not as woke as the last one. But shit is still shit. Like saying dried up turds is better tasting than diarrhea. Okay, first off, there's obvious foreshadowing. Final Destination franchise was notorious for doing this. But even despite some shitty entries in their franchise, I like them. Because the kills, even being really stupid, were also really entertaining too. But this isn't Final Destination, this is Evil Dead. Here is just a clear giveaway. Why do films give away the fucking obvious from the start? Do they really think we're that fucking stupid? I know they're trying to pander to the TikTok audience with this one, but it's still just copper-rate horror slop, which has still been getting made since the 2000s, but got worse.
Alice?
Now let's stop right here. Medium close-up camera shots in these movies has become the most overused, boring trends in horror, thriller, and prestige drama trailers/films. And they do this because, checks notes, it's cheap? That's a poor way to direct or advertise your film. The original Evil Dead had a lot of creative camera shots and didn't have to rely on shaky cam. Plus, this was the budget that it took to make the original Evil Dead, and it was great and had something called an aesthetic. Also, we had some cheesy acting in the original, which was a part of the point, but it was also believable. Here, it doesn't seem that believable, considering that nobody knows how to act anymore. Plus, why the fuck does this bitch look like she came back from her feminist club, only to be traumatized that some guy sneaked in and put on loud, hardcore lesbian porn on maximum volume on the computers and walked away? And she is thinking, wait a minute, I thought lesbian sex was progressive and not to fetishize for the male gaze.
What's wrong?
I don't know why they keep doing the swish pan thing. They did it in Smile 1 and 2, which were good modern horror movies, despite being very rough around the edges. With Evil Dead, it just doesn't work. Where's the identity in this? See what I mean? If I were to show this trailer out of context, they would not know what the fuck this is, and just assume it's just another ghost movie or another Conjuring movie. Nobody would have looked at this and thought this was Evil Dead. Maybe some people could argue that we had reboots of movies or TV shows back in the 90s or the 2000s, like The Omen or the Amityville Horror, that missed the mark because they're remakes, right? But for the most part at least, you could get a glimpse of what you were actually watching. Even the Evil Dead remake got that right. Which, over here, there's nothing. Who the fuck are those people? Yes, I know it's a standalone entry, but these don't fucking work for Evil fucking Dead. Which, speaking of The Conjuring was the one that socially engineered audiences to enjoy jump scare slop, which they criticised before. Remember when that shit was panned to being shit to mediocre? Especially during the late 2000s and early 2010s. Remember when shit like The Devil Inside from 2012 was panned, and rightfully so, for being the same found footage jump scare shit we've been frequently getting for the past 10 years in mainstream horror cinema? Yeah. My, how the times have changed, and how these retards' standards have gotten lower to the point that, because The Conjuring or even Annie Belle did it good apparently, now it's okay to do what was critiqued back then in today's generation, by doubling down on the horror genre, by doing the same shit again and again and again. And these are the same people who criticized modern horror for doing the exact same generic cooperate shit, and here they are hyping and looking forward to this cooperate shit. Do you remember when critics used to rant about media talking down to us like we're stupid, when they did the equivalent to jingling keys? But now they're more accepting to shit that does the exact same shit by making it grab the attention of low attention span spastics who watch short-form TikToks and don't have the attention span to watch a whole film or read a book. Yet, they can watch 3 hours of a video about how this dude on the internet fucks puppies. Fucking hypocrites. Another predictable moment. Except this time this bitch looks like she got raped in the cunt too much to the point of her dripping blood. Talk about a one-night stand, am I right, lads? Haha. All jokes aside. This just more of the same shit they've been doing in trailers, where it just shortens the plot. We already can predict what's going to happen in this shitty film. Okay, in the original, there was suspense and mystery around the first half hour of the movie. After Cheryl got raped by the trees, she was possessed. It was straight to the point. And everyone was wondering how the people were getting possessed for a while, and everyone had to use their imagination. When she asked men to suck her fingers, they thought, hey, let's not just suck them like we suck that bitch's toes. Let's bite them off. I know some guys would choke a bitch during sex, but I don't think that's what she meant by choking. Plus, this just looks tame. I remember films like Indiana Jones having such violent scenes like somebody being impaled through the head, their faces melting, and having their heart ripped out. And those were PG films at best. God, we had it so fucking great back then. And this film is an R-rated movie. What's their fucking excuse? Modern sensibilities? Well, if they are scared by shit like Gremlins and all, I'd love them to watch stuff like Fritz the Cat and The Exorcist. They'd be having nightmares for years. This shit just looks like the type of shit that a 10-year-old would think is edgy and cool. That's what I fucking mean when we've gotten this sanitized by even just having tame shit like this. Plus that one part in Evil Dead Rise where the mother says she's going to cut everyone up. Plus they're doing the same makeup again like they did with Evil Dead 2013. It's okay, but the white eyes and full of face disfigured mess made the Deadites so memorable and iconic, and actually scary to look at, rather than just makeup.
We found you. William, my sweet boy.
Okay, her fucking son died. Big whoop. We barely knew him. Next.
I would give anything for us to be together again.
Wait, I'm confused. Is this the Amityville Horror House, or is this the same one from the Conjuring one? Why the fuck is it that every single movie like this has to take place in this huge ass house? Yeah, it's a change of scenery from the Evil Dead Rise where it took place in an apartment. But here, they're just rehashing old shit from any other shitty horror movie that was popular throughout the years. Also, we don't need all the orchestral shit playing in every single fucking trailer. The synth music from the original was fine. No need to run this through a fucking humiliation ritual.
My grandfather believed the devil would return if anyone read from the Book of the Dead.
Why do movie producers think that putting boom, boom, boom in every scene makes it dramatic and somewhat scary? It really isn't. Plus, there doesn't need to have all these effects like the snow and all this lightning. The grim, dark, grungy, miserable lightning was fine, even on a budget of $300,000. Over here, this just looks silly when you have this cuck doing a soy face.
The whole family can be reunited.
Here's what's wrong with this movie regarding the fucking Deadites. Is this Invasion of the Body Snatchers? 28 years later? They did zero effort on the appearance of the Deadites, rather than making this dude look pale like he's a dog with rabies. Are we going to get something that's actually interesting in this fucking movie, like face deformations? Or are we just going to keep having motion blur, camera tracking shots, and boring shit? Fucking hell, man. Even the demons in the Necronomicon look cooler than whatever is on screen. Even the final Deadite, combining her two children, managed to look like shit. And we got some pretty cool looking designs that are actually very close to what is in the Book of the Dead. How hard is it to fuck that up? Look, I get they're trying to reinvent the wheel again by making another reboot. Same shit that happened in Evil Dead 1. Something happens, and they read through the book, and then shit hits the fan. Now they're doing this for the third fucking time. This is so tiresome and repetitive that I'm surprised that fans haven't picked up on this. Or maybe their heads are so far up their own fucking arses to the point that A, they can't even tell between an apple or an orange. B, they notice the problems but want to like it anyway and pretend that the franchise has no bad movies by being disingenuous as possible. Wait, hold the fucking phone. So when the woman gets her fingers slammed into the door, her fingers fall off. But over here in the next shot, her fingers are back on, only for her nails to look like they've been bitten off, or that she's got jam on her fingernails. Talk about the lack of fucking consistency. Jesus fucking Christ. Haha. Plus it doesn't even look that graphic. This is entry-level gore that you'd find in a PG-13 movie from the 2000s. Just look at how excited this chick is right here. That's how I feel if I were to star in this movie too. My main problem right here. I don't know if this is poorly done CGI or it's AI, but either way, this looks fucking terrible. This destroys the immersion that it's trying to build up. Not like this had any good atmosphere. The environment looked like it had potential, but they fucked it up by doing the exact same shit that every Hollywood director and studio keeps doing for the past 20 years. Adding CGI and bollocks to something like Evil Dead, which never fucking works. So now we get Deadite dogs now. Is this Resident Evil now? Or Pet Sematary?
Cheers to your perfect family.
Jesus fucking Christ. This gives me flashbacks of leftist millennials when they try and make edgy shit. They think they're so fucking edgy with this scene. It's like, oh my god, look, this girl is drinking candle wax. Isn't this sick and frightening? The SpongeBob and Patrick on a baby roller coaster sums this shit up. But God fucking forbid. God fucking forbid. We have a tree rape scene. Even though Sam Raimi said that he regretted that, but I don't care. It's cool and transgressive, but that's besides the point. Or God forbid, we have actual cool designs of the Deadites that look like something right out of a Dark Horse comic. The long-necked grandmother, The apple tree-looking thing that Ash puts his chainsaw into, the gargoyle, and the cool-looking evil Ash army. You see where I'm trying to get at here? Or are you this fucking brain-dead? Where's the body horror in this film? Where is the overly detailed gore? Where is the atmosphere and anything that makes a movie scary, rather than just trying to copy what something like the Grudge remake did 20 years ago? But with the Deadite drinking candle wax, it's just like, come the fuck on. Really? This is the shit that you'd see in kids' cartoons like Billy and Mandy, or stuff like Horrible Histories. Even they did gross out a lot more better than this, because kids love gross things, right? The original Evil Deads didn't do this, and they never felt like they had to do this. They did try to be shocking, yes, but at the right moments. Here, this is just pretentious, and just trying too hard to be like, look at how rebellious we are. We're trying to be all like 80s horror, but we're not going to do the stuff that they did back then, because we live in a more progressive time now. Like, bitch, fuck off and go shove that progressive shit up your ass. Plus, despite being a film, clearly for adults, this is also on the same level as the monsters from Monsters, Inc., trying to be all scary and shit. And your mother being like, ooh, scary.
Oh, scary.
Instead of having your mother be actually sickened, disturbed, and offended over what's going on in these movies. They held no barriers and didn't give a single fuck before movie studios thought they had to dial back on sleazy, transgressive shit, and decided that it was time for movies to grow up and not appeal to incels and right-wing people and start having strong female leads, and they want to pay reviewers.
Yeah, pay reviewers to actually say that stuff like this shitty-ass slop is gold. This is the reason why, as of recent, we've been getting more positive Rotten Tomatoes scores for those types of movies, as opposed to how stuff like that was panned or just mediocre at best. 223. See what I mean by the foreshadowing? Can't make it subtle or even clever. Just foreshadow the knives in the beginning, and then this happens at the end of the trailer. Talk about how to AI generate a horror movie and make it like this. Oh wait, even Grok AI can generate better and more transgressive and more sleazy shit like this that almost captures the aesthetics of a grindhouse exploitation fantasy film from the 70s or even the 80s. In the originals, we've had some quite cool stop motion in a lot of scenes, and some quite cool transformations, such as the hands coming out of the body and the body just exploding and rotting with tons of body fluids and weird, disgusting-looking special effects. The main ingredients for the fake blood were Karo syrup, non-dairy creamer, and lots of food coloring. At one point, Bruce Campbell's shirt that he wears in the film was so saturated with the fake blood that after drying it by the fire, the shirt became solidified and broke when he tried to put it on. And plus, we had pretty cool stunt scenes like Bruce Campbell flying out of a car.
We're about to shoot a very dangerous stunt with Bruce Campbell. We've attached a line to his throat.
Yes, I will be lying on my stomach.
He's usually lying.
Yes, and they're going to be hooking me up through my skin. I've got to go now, Sam. They're going to hook me up.
Good luck to you, Bruce.
Thanks,
Good luck.
Sam. We know this is very dangerous.
I hope you can survive this.
Thank you.
And 3, 2, 1, action! Cut it!
Now I know the excuse that everyone is going to make regarding this change. New Evil Dead for new audience, and they enjoy the same slop. Movie studios shouldn't have to take risks anymore with stop motion. Even though stop motion is cheap, but it still requires tons of work to actually perfect it. Oh, we don't want to do stunts anymore or even go to another country like they did in Evil Dead 1, where they filmed the cellar in Marshall, Michigan, whilst mostly filming in the cabin in Morristown, Tennessee, before they burnt it down because the owners were tired of the tourist attraction. So now they want to risk not going out and doing something productive, but only to blow $1 million just to make slop using digital movie-making software to do this. No, fuck off. The new audience deserves something better and more experimental more than this fucking slop. You know that the risk is better than the alternative, right? Even though that this generation is doomed and fucked beyond belief, there is still optimistic hope. For example, look at how well the Terrifier franchise is doing. It started at 0 with All Hallows Eve, then Terrifier, and the budget got bigger with Terrifier 2 and then 3. With the Terrifier films, the budget kept getting higher and higher without even using overly expensive CGI and sticking to practical effects. I remember when Terrifier 3 came out, and articles were calling it the most goriest and sickest horror film ever made, to the point that they had to hand out puke bags to people. Puke bags for something that's as clearly a demonic, gory slasher. This is how pussified this generation is when it comes to fucking gore already. When shit like Saw and Hostel came out, it had an impact, especially during the time of the torture porn genre. But then they kept coming and people just thought that excessive gore was just a big fat whatever, right? If people are saying that Terrifier 3 is the most goriest film ever, to the point is puking, then that is fucking pathetic. I've seen sicker films from the 70s, 80s, 80s, or even the 90s. This is just fucking sad, man. But yeah, to summarize, it looks like a Conjuring film, but with some more excessive, safe, edgy gore that isn't too detailed, but with the Evil Dead names slapped onto it. Just a giant wet fart of a film. Don't fucking watch this shit. If you watch this, then you're a part of the fucking problem. Anyways, that's my analysis on this fucking shitty-ass movie. I'm doing more text-to-speech video essays in the future, if you like it or not. I have a cold, so fuck you. Anyways, bye for now, you motherfuckers.